Getting started with Gathering in 2023 as a new or returning player can be extremely confusing with Manosphere, artifacts, and the new Gathering minigame, but after some preparation, leveling Gathering or making money from the materials can be a breeze. Welcome back to the channel that teaches you nothing about life skilling. My name's Teddy, and with all the new updates to Gathering this year, I thought it'd be a great time to make a new updated Gathering guide to help you get started Gathering or just leveling to Guru. From Gathering gear to fairy skills, this guide should hopefully go down everything possible for Gathering. And stick around to the end to find out some tips and tricks to help you make Gathering a lot easier for you. In Black Desert, one of the easiest life skills to jump into has to be Gathering. Not only is it needed for almost all the other life skills like cooking, alchemy, processing, and trading, just to name a few, Gathering on its own can make billions weekly without needing to craft anything. While Gathering can be done barehanded for some things, most Gathering activities require a tool like the lumbering axe to chop trees, for example. Milking, water scooping, and shovel digging out in the desert even included in Gathering. But Gathering has a couple different things to remember. Gathering level can be seen here in the battle section on the character profile. Each level will reduce the amount of time needed to gather, and level 5 Gathering is the highest. Next is the Gathering life skill level. This can be seen in the life info on the character profile. Now there's a lot of benefits to having higher Gathering skill level like Master and Guru. The higher your Gathering level, the less energy is consumed, meaning there's a chance you won't use energy when performing any Gathering task. This can be enhanced further with better tools with higher durability and the item brand spell stones. One more thing Gathering skill level helps is cow milking. The higher your Gathering is, the more milk that can be obtained, while milking with Master 2 gets the most milk when completing the minigame. Beside the need for more money or just the materials for crafting, Gathering is a great way to get the rare drops for enhancing artifacts and floral lightstones, not to mention the drops needed for the weekly and daily Liana quests. But now we're going to have to take a look at Gathering Mastery. Gathering Mastery has some huge benefits for the more you have, like already stated. Hovering over the Gathering Mastery in the Life Skill tab shows how Gathering Mastery gives higher drop rate and the quantity of materials, special resources like trade items or training materials, and lastly, rare drops like sharps and hearts. Now, it's to be noted, Gathering Mastery does have no effect on milking, though the more mastery, the more money you can make while gathering. Mastery brackets 1600, 1800, and 2000 are the best for getting the best drops easier without needing to waste as much time as with lower mastery. For focusing on mastery though, it is recommended to use magic or lucky tools until you have 650 Gathering Mastery, then switch to mastery tools, but keep that in the back of your head. We'll come back to that later. Really fast, this is not going to be showing you how to min-max your gathering or which materials you should be gathering to get the most money or the most experience earned. This is just to help you get started gathering and hitting Gathering Master or Guru sooner. And please, don't get angry down in the comments below telling me how this costs billions and billions of silver or how Musa is the best class that you should be using and every other class sucks. This is just simply to help out those beginning and returning back into the game and are confused about Gathering in general. I will be posting down any links to any guides needed just in case you still need it or you were just curious on anything further. With all of that out of the way, let me show you how to get started. Starting out with Gathering is easier than before with the introduction of the progression pass that has different tasks that can be done for Caphras and tools to help Gathering. Not to mention the Gathering Basics of Life questline that shows you step by step how to gather for more Gathering items, and it can also help speed up leveling. And lastly, there is the Land of the Morning Light, which is a life skilling playground like I keep harping on. When you're ready to start Gathering, it can be a little confusing to start, but the first thing that you should do is hit level 31 or complete the Gateway to Hydo quest during the Concerns of Bobby Lauren main story questline. Once that's done, the Gathering Basics of Life questline can be found by opening up the quest log, hitting the Suggested tab, and scrolling down. This questline is perfect for learning how gathering and processing works. While completing these quests, you will get an apprentice gathering uniform to start with, a donkey, which is faster than walking and running, a book of life for 7 days, and a blue grade life spirit stone for completing the whole questline. After all these quests, now it's time to take a look at the progression pass. At the top of the screen, hitting the arrow icon here has the new tasks that can be completed to earn various rewards, but for this we're going to be looking at the gathering section. The tasks in here are great for learning random aspects of gathering, from buff foods like the seafood Kron's meal to gathering quests. Completing each will give 1 Caphra, but also counts towards the objectives completed. As for most objectives being worked on, for every 5 that are done, a reward is given out. The main goal is to complete 25 objectives to unlock your first Manos tool for later, but don't be fooled. The demi-hard tools are perfect for starting out even if they're not permanent. A perfect place to learn gathering and earn contribution points early on is over at Olivia here in the Malanos region. These quests aren't really going to help those veteran gatherers or those trying to power level gathering. For that, I suggest heading out to either Bear, Pilgrim's Haven, or the Land of the Morning Light. Because the quests out in Olivia are dailies, they can be repeated every day. It is worth coming out here once a day while completing the progression pass. One more thing to help you get started are the Life Leap Gathering Guru quests. These can be found by opening the quest log, hitting suggested, and scrolling down to them. This quest line not only takes you around the world meeting different NPCs for more energy, but gives huge gathering experience and items needed for enhancing gear or tools. All of these quests do require certain gathering levels, with the first one needing beginner 10 gathering, so make sure you have the gathering level needed before starting out. So with all the different ways to start gathering, let's get into the gear options that we have. There are tons of gear in Black Desert, some for combat and others for life skilling. Looking through can be daunting, seeing 4 different gathering gears with other gears being given out through quests or just hitting different gathering levels, but not all gathering gear is made the same or for the same purpose. Starting out with the clothes, we have the uniforms that we can get. The apprentice uniform gives +1 gathering and requires gathering beginner 10 to wear. The skilled gatherer's uniform has an added +5 gathering experience but needs gathering skilled 5. The professional gatherer's uniform is the best, providing +10% gathering experience but requires professional 10 gathering to equip. While both apprentice and skilled gatherer uniforms must be obtained through the life gathering questline and continuing the questline further, the professional, however, is given out when hidden Artisan gathering or can be bought from any luxury vendor. Taking a step up from the uniforms, we have the silver embroidered gatherer's clothes. Unlike the uniforms, the silver embroidered has gathering experience on it, but unlike the uniform, has movement speed instead of gathering and can be enhanced further for more gathering experience and movement. Fortunately, these can be crafted using any level 1 costume mill or can be bought off the central market. Like already stated before, these can be enhanced using a base silver embroidered gatherer's clothes, but be warned, these will be destroyed on failing, but fail stacks can be used to increase your chances. The +3 silver embroidered is a sweet spot for trying the +4 with having a +2 movement speed, +2 gathering, and lastly +20% gathering experience. For the more experienced gatherer or those just wanting more mastery, Logia, Karta, and Mana's gatherer's clothes all specialize in gathering mastery instead of experience. Logia is low end and the cheapest mastery gear, with having +1 movement and just +3 mastery at base. The step up from that is the Karta, with having +4 gathering mastery instead. Both of these can be bought from the material vendor or can be bought off the central market. Logia is the easiest to enhance, with Karta being slightly harder and can be done using black gems up to +15 and needs concentrated black gems from Pry on up. Unfortunately, unlike the silver embroidered, enhancing is a fixed rate on mastery gear. No crons can be used, but luckily failing any enhancement will only lower the durability, and from duo onwards will drop the enhancement level. As for the Manos gatherer's clothes, these can only be crafted or bought off the central market. Manos has the better stats all around, starting at +5 gathering mastery at base. Enhancing these are a little harder with the lower fixed rate, but are the best in slot for mastery gear. Now, we're not just limited to the gear that we can get, we also have costumes we can choose. The first option is the old school Treants camouflage from the Pearl Shop. This is not going to be the best option, but it does have +1 gathering and hide your family, character, and guild name, replacing it with Unknown Adventurer. Next is the better option for most players. The professional gatherer's uniform can be turned into a costume using the equipment tailor coupon from the Pearl Shop. Not only does this make a costume that can be worn with other gatherer's clothes as gear, but also gives +10% gathering experience too. Now, for the shy player like me, we have the best gathering costume option, which funny enough isn't even a costume. The Curious Gatherer's outfit, with having all the combat bonuses, like with a higher chance of not breaking any of those life scaling crystals, but also gives a +10% gathering experience too. Now, when it comes to gathering, not just any ring or necklace will do. For that, we have solutions like the Logia, Garanoa, and Manos life scaling accessory. These are just like the mastery clothes, but with life experience, and all life skill mastery increase depending on the grade and enhancement level. Enhancing all life skill accessories have a fixed rate just like with the clothes, and like with silver embroidered, cannot be cronstone, so be careful when failing. Both accessories will break. Like with all mastery gear, Trilogia is the sweet spot, with being the cheapest and easiest to enhance, with Tri, Manos, and higher being the best option, but also harder. A Flamoros accessory can be earned through the questline from Liana, which is equal to a Tri Manos, to help get those sets made, just in case you still haven't had a try. Another accessory to get is the Kaffir's Journal of Nature, which can be earned after completing the Kaffir's developer's record in the Crow Merchant's Record Adventure Journal shelf. This journal has a nice plus 10% life experience, making it a staple for all life skilling, not just gathering. A link to the guide will be down below, which I highly recommend pausing here and checking that out if you still haven't gotten yours. Continuing with the equipment needed are the artifacts and the Lightstones. There are 3 different Sethra artifacts that are perfect for gathering, being the Gathering Experience, Mastery, and Gathering Item Drop Rate. The Gathering Experience artifacts gives plus 5% experience, while the Lesser Life Experience artifacts gives plus 3% life experience. The Gathering Mastery gives plus 10 mastery, while the Lesser Life Mastery ones gives plus 7 life mastery. As for the Gathering Item Drop Rate, this increases the special and rare drop rates by 2%. Now, the downside to these are having to go out manually finding them, and they can't be bought off the central market, but you can't talk about artifacts without mentioning the Lightstones that we can socket. Lightstone combinations take the simple little artifacts and add huge bonuses to life skilling depending on the combination of Lightstones used. While imperfect Lightstones can be found doing almost anything in Black Desert, Flora Lightstones can be found while doing all life skilling, Wind, Fire, and Earth can be found while mob grinding, and lastly, the Iridescent Lightstones can be found while mob grinding in the Mountain of Eternal Winter region or Dark Rift bosses. All these can be bought off the central market too if you don't get lucky finding any. Now there's 2 combinations to look out for while gathering. The first combination is the Scurrying Weasel Lightstone combination. This has a nice plus 5 gathering item drop rate, plus 10% gathering experience, plus 20 gathering mastery, plus 3% movement speed, and finally plus 1 gathering. This combination can be made using a Flora Lightstone Plains, Forest, a Rushfire Lightstone, and lastly, 1 Iridescent Lightstone. The other combination is the Yawning Hedgehog. This gives plus 10 gathering item drop rate, plus 10% gathering experience, plus 20 gathering mastery, plus 1 gathering, and a nice plus 1 energy recovery. This is a little harder with needing 1 Forest Flora Lightstone, 1 Plains Flora Lightstone, a Fortune Wind Lightstone, and lastly, an Iridescent Lightstone. In my opinion, this is the better combination to go for, but that Fortune Lightstone can be a little bit harder to come by. Other combinations like the Choice and Focus Gathering, having the minus 500 gathering mastery but giving plus 32% gathering experience, or the Plux plus 16% gathering experience can be used, but these are just the 2 combinations that give more than just mastery or experience. Now let's talk about the Alchemy Stones. There are plenty of stones we can choose, with some easy to find and others needing to be crafted or bought off the central market. So the first stone is the Trance Tear. This is really easy to get through a questline that can be completed from Fulgur. The Trance Tear decreases the cooking and alchemy time by 1 second, plus 10% processing success rate, plus 50 weight limit, plus 2 to both gathering and fishing, plus 10% gathering item drop rate, and the whole reason for getting this stone, the plus 30% life experience. The next stone is the Alchemy Stone Alive. These can be crafted or bought off the central market, with the price and stats ranging from how good the stone is. The Sharp Alchemy Stone Alive is the sweet spot before wasting billions on enhancing or pre-ordering. This stone comes with 1.4 second reduction on cooking and alchemy, 14% processing success rate, plus 75 weight limit, plus 2 to gathering and fishing speed, and lastly comes with plus 13% gathering item drop rate. The next stone is the Stella Spirit Stone. These are given out during events and season graduation, making it harder to come by. The Stella Spirit Stone is slightly better than the Trance Tear in terms of stats, but the real gem is the plus 100 mastery to all life skill. Now the best in slot alchemy stone that we can use is the Khan's Heart Life. The Khan's Heart comes with 1.3 second reduction to alchemy and cooking time, plus 13% processing success rate, plus 70 weight limit, plus 2 to gathering and fishing speed, and lastly plus 12% gathering item drop rate. This will increase life skill mastery plus 25 passively for just wearing. This has to be either crafted or bought off the central market. Another stone to use is the Blue Grade Life Spirit Stones. These can be found while mob grinding out in the polyforest or can be bought off the central market easily. These aren't as great as the other stones, but are perfect for those who still haven't gotten a better stone or just want to use them up to grind them down for powder. After playing around with the alchemy stones and figuring out which one works best for you, now we can talk about the tools. Tools are really easy to get started with. For those who are below 650 gathering mastery, using a tool workshop lets you craft the basic tools that can be bought off the central market, with the chance of making the lucky variant tool, which increases the rare drops. Magic tools can also be earned through the Black Spirit Adventure. These tools cannot be repaired and will have to be replaced when they break. Demi-Hard tools are great tools for starting out, being geared more towards experience than getting the drops. These cannot be repaired and only last 14 days, so I recommend using these only during long gathering sessions. These can be obtained through events and for completing the progression pass. The next set of tools we can get are the late tools from Normal Late here in the Northern Wheat Plantation. These are great for temporary gathering tools and can be repaired, but the downside is the contribution cost is 50 points to rent. This is nice for those needing a permanent tool without having to spend billions, but I don't recommend with how many contribution points it takes to rent. Now, once your gathering mastery hits 600 and above, it's time to start looking into the mastery tools. These are just like the clothes, with Logia being the cheapest to get, easiest to enhance, and just like the Trilogia tools are the sweet spot before needing to work on those Manos tools. Garanoa tools are mid-grade and only add a couple more points over Logia, so if Manos is your end goal, these should be avoided to save money. Manos tools are the best in slot when it comes to any tool. The downside to these, however, are how expensive these are to make, enhance, or buy from the central market. Golden seals can be exchanged for tools from the Spellbound toolbox to Manos tools, so make sure you save up your seals and make sure which ones you want to exchange. Now, for all those mastery tools, we have one more item that'll make everything a lot easier when gathering. This is Liana's tool bag. This bag is able to store one of each tool and lets you switch between each activity without having to change the tool. This can be earned from another quest line from Liana and shouldn't take too long to get. Knowing which gear to use can still be a little confusing, so let's go down the gear progression. It's a general rule to use silver embroidered up until 650 gathering mastery or higher. A +2 silver embroidered is the cheapest while learning and leveling gathering up to Artisan. Base Logia accessories are perfect with how cheap they are and comes with life experience. Of course, magic tools are the go-to, or if you have demi-hard tools just laying around. As for the Alchemy Stone, the blue-grade Life Spirit Stone or Stella Stone is a must. Once you hit Artisan or you have more than 650 mastery, then you can move on to the Trilogia gathering clothes with the matching accessories and tools of your choice, or all of them if you're using the Liana's tool bag like me. After getting Master 4 and 900 mastery, the Trilogia can be replaced with all Tet. Hitting Master 10 or higher with 1000 mastery, you can start working on getting your Manos made up, with the Tet tool being your first step. You can choose the Tet Carta Gatherer's clothes at this point. It does cost about 1 billion, so I prefer to enhance my own Manos Gatherer's clothes instead. Once Master 14 or higher is hit and 1150 gathering mastery is obtained, the Tet Manos clothes can be made or bought alongside the Tet Manos tool of your choice. After hitting Master 28 or 1450 mastery, all the Duo Manos accessories can be tapped or bought off the central market if you're not that lucky. Once Guru is hit and you have 1600 mastery, then you can start to focus on the Khan's Heart and your Tet Manos tool. At 1800, it's time for all the Tet Manos accessories and pen tools. Finally, at 2000 mastery, you should be focused on getting all pen Manos. Remember, this is just to help you out with your life skill and gear progression, and no, you don't have to follow this. You should be choosing which gear fits out best for your build and how quickly you should be changing into your new gear. It can be expensive and harder to craft, so do this at your own pace. Now, let's get started with pets. Pets are a huge bonus when it comes to gathering and all life skilling in general. All life skill pets have a special find resources that pings any gatherable node according to the tool that you have on. All nodes will ping if using the Liana's tool bag with all tool slots filled up. This can be sped up choosing the first pet command bubble here and changing it. Green is slower, yellow is in the middle, and red is the fastest, with the tier of the pet increasing the speed further. If this skill is annoying and you'd rather turn it off, that can be done by selecting the third pet command special here and selecting it. This can be turned on and off whenever you choose. Remember, each pet has a chance of learning a skill when it tiers up, so you might get lucky either getting a +1 gathering skill or the even luckier +5% gathering experience. Out of all of the pets, there is two that stick out in my mind. These are the hedgehog and the llama pets. These two pets can double the amount of materials being gathered, with the higher tiers able to proc this more. The special gathering talent does not stack with one another, so only one pet can use their talent while the other talent remains inactive if using two at the same time. Next are the durability pets. Though these don't give experience like with the other life skilling pets, these will reduce the durability loss on all gear. These pets can be stacked for more durability to be saved at the cost of experience, unless you're lucky enough to get a pet that has the +5% gathering skill. Another great option are the weight pets. These two don't provide any life experience like the durability pets, but do increase your max weight per tier and do stack with one another. Finally, we have all the normal life scaling pets that give 1% life experience per tier. All these pets can be bought off the central market, given out through season passes, events, and there are 3 quests that can be done by opening your quest log and searching through the suggested tab. The progression pass will also tell you which quests they are. With having all that gear, now let's take a look into the crystals and some ideas on how to set up your preset. Because everyone has their own crystal preset and how they like their crystals, I'll just be showing you how I set my crystals up, and I highly recommend playing around with your own build and figuring out which works best for you. So to start out, I'm using 2 magic crystal durability, which has plus 10% durability reduction resistance per crystal, 2 magic crystal of energy, which has plus 10 max energy for each, and yes, I am using 6 gathering life crystals that has plus 5% gathering experience for each, and soon to be 4 ultimate Gerbish for the plus 25 weight limit for each, and the plus 75 weight limit when all 4 are used. All these crystals can be bought off the central market, and a link to the life scaling crystals is down below. Again, play around with what crystal is best for you and how to set up your crystal preset. My build and my crystals will work for my build, and how expensive they are isn't a problem for me, but it might not work out for you. Now that you have the crystals, let's talk about the buffs that we can get. Gathering can be done without any buffs, but to maximize how much we can get while gathering, there are some things that we can use. When it comes to buff foods, there are a couple staples being the value pack, Promise Blessing, and the secret book, The Old Moon. The value pack gives more inventory slots, plus 30% life experience, plus 200 weight limit, and plus 30% silver collection on the central market sales. The Promise Blessing offers a nice plus 2 energy recovery and lets Maid transport more items. Lastly, the secret book of the Old Moon has plus 50% life experience and allows remote use of the villa buff while using the Nefart tent without needing to head out to the villa. All 3 of these are given out during events, can be bought off the central market, and can be bought in the pearl shop either using loyalties or pearls. Moving away from the pay to win buffs, we have the seafood Kron's meal. This is a must for life skilling, with having a plus 10% life experience, plus 2 gathering, plus 2 movement speed, plus 100 weight limit, and lastly plus 25 to all life mastery. The seafood Kron's meal can either be crafted or bought off the central market. Next we have the Verdier Drought. These come with plus 20% life experience, plus 3 gathering, plus 3 movement speed, and lastly plus 200 weight limit. The Verdier Drought can be made using alchemy or can be bought off the central market. Combining these with the magical elixir found while playing the Black Spirit Adventure or given out during events will increase the duration up to an hour. Continuing along, we have the Perfume of Swiftness. A little more expensive to make or buy off the central market, but has 20% life experience, plus 5 movement speed, and plus 5 gathering. Like stated, this can be made using alchemy or bought off the central market. The next item on the list is the Secret Book of Florin. A simple buff, but comes with a huge plus 100% life experience and plus 100 to all life skill mastery. These are obtained through the weekly Liana quest, during events, and from the Black Spirit Adventure. Much like the Secret Book of Florin, the Giovan Grolan support scroll adds the same plus 100% life experience and plus 100 to all life skill mastery. It does stack with the Secret Book of Florin, but unlike the book, these are slightly harder to get, only be given out for graduating seasons and during events. For logging in every day, we are given the Mercenary Life Scroll for 60 minutes, which gives plus 50% life experience. When combining 3 of these together, it will increase the experience plus 150 life experience. Laura's Warm Black Tea is another great item, with having plus 30% life experience, plus 10% gathering item drop rate, and another plus 100 weight limit. These are harder to get, only being obtainable through events and the Black Spirit Adventure though. Bogar has a weekly quest while seasons are active to capture a wild horse for the event, Fulgur's Magical Elixir, which lasts 10 hours and gives plus 30% life experience, plus 25 to mastery, plus 1 energy recovery, and finally plus 100 weight limit. You do get 3 of these elixirs per week, and they do stack with everything here. For those who already use their Mercenary Life Scroll, still has the Book of Life. These last 24 hours and can be used for the duration of the days listed in the title. They give plus 50% life experience, but doesn't stack with the Mercenary Scroll. Getting one of these can be done through events and in the Pearl Shop. Extra life scrolls increase life experience depending on the one used, with the plus 50% experience scroll being the most common. These won't stack with other Pearl Shop buffs, and we can only get these from events, Black Spirit Adventure, and lastly, these can be bought from the Pearl Shop. Event items like the GM's Blessing from Maintenance Compensation Station, Energy of the Happiness bought from the Pearl Shop, and Delicious Japchae can be obtained from limited time events and cannot be earned any other ways. So if you have them, I highly suggest waiting for longer gathering sessions just to pop them. Guild skills like Nimble Fingers add 1 to gathering per level if you're in a guild. And the last buff item we have a chance of finding is the Millennial Wild Ginseng. These add plus 50 to stamina and 2 max energy, plus 1 energy recovery, plus 50 weight limit, plus 50% desert debuff resistance, but can only be found while playing the Artisan Green Thumb Gathering and bought off the central market. The ginseng does last for 90 days and will apply to the whole family, so it might be worth searching for this one. I know there's a lot of information, but bear with me. This will all help out with gathering. But now let's talk about the fairies. First off, the higher the fairy tier, the more skills the fairy can learn, the max level of the fairy, and even the tier of skill the fairy can learn, with the Radiant Fairy being the best, able to learn the most skills and able to learn up to tier 5 skills. A fairy's growth and persona can be changed using a Queen's Might from the Pearl Shop, and the skills can be rerolled using Athea's orbs. You will need the same amount of orbs depending on the amount of skills you have. So if you have 5 skills, you will need 5 orbs to change 1 skill. Continuous Care is a great skill. It allows the fairy to auto-use buff items stored in your inventory. The higher the skill, the more items that can be used, with 5 being the lowest and 20 being the highest rank. Inexhaustible Well is another great skill for those looking to do desert gathering. The Well skill lets the fairy use either the purified water to cure heat stroke or the star anise tea for hyperthermia, and each rank will reduce the cooldown, with tier 5 having a nice 3-minute cooldown. Feathery Step is a good skill for those who need more weight. This skill adds 105% weight penalty reduction at tier 1 up to 125% at tier 5. Tingling Breath is a game changer for underwater gathering, adding 5 seconds per tier, with tier 5 having plus 30 seconds, which is needed when spending a lot of time underwater. Now, none of these skills are needed, but do help if you get lucky or if you're willing to go ahead and swipe your card. But now let's take a look at the Maids. These are simple, with choosing either just the storage or transaction, which sends items to the central market. There's no real secret when using these, just having more Maids will keep you out gathering longer while sending Maids to the storage every 30 minutes. Maids are given out during events and can be bought from the Pearl Shop too, but I recommend waiting for Pearl Abyss to send out their free Maids. They always do, and I have a lot of them now. Now, you can't start talking about gathering without mentioning the Agris Fever. Once upon a time, this was only usable for mob grinding to increase the trash loot, but now we're able to use it to increase the amount of materials gathered only. And before you ask down in the comments, no, this does not apply to hunting. Usually, not a lot applies to the gathering aspect of hunting. While using Agris, the amount of materials gathered goes from 2 to 4, and completing the Book of Magaran, Volume 1, Chapter 5, increases the amount from 5 to 10, while normally gathering with 2000 Mastery allows you to gather 10 to 20. Using the Agris, gathering with the Agris enabled allows basic materials to be gathered from 13 to 26. This will increase how many materials that can be gathered per hour, so you won't have to spend as many hours, but does come at the cost of taking up more weight or needing more Maids. You'll get a max of 100,000 points, and you do recover 20,000 points every day after completing the Magaran Adventure Journal. If you're a fan of the Land of the Morning Light, like me, you'll know all about the Green Thumb Artisan Gathering. If you haven't unlocked that yet, the link is also down below. The Green Thumb Artisan minigame further increases the amount of materials gathered by 10 when completing the minigame. This will affect all gathering minus water scooping and hunting, consume 10 energy when completed, or consumes 1 energy when failing, and can be stopped by damage. Using a Hedgehog or Llama and Agris will stack with the minigame, but will not affect the ginseng once found. But if you're able to let me know if it does proc, tell me down in the comments below. I'm really curious on it, and I've yet to find one in general. Now, we're not the only ones that have gathering gear. Donkeys can be geared with the Krogdalo donkey gear after a lot of dailies, or AFK fishing over at Waves Rest. The Krogdalo donkey gear comes with plus 3% life experience for 1 piece, 5 for 3 pieces, and 10% for all 5 pieces. These must be crafted using the Stonetail Horse Ranch 3, using a lot of high-end materials, and the iridescent pebbles from exchanging the Papu or Otter tokens at Waves Rest, or can be bought off the central market. Let's talk about some of the bonuses that you can find while gathering. From buried chests to easy contribution points, there's more to gathering than just getting the materials you need to craft or sell. The easiest item to look out for are the Fairy's Breath. These are amazing for turning into sharps, hards, and earning a small bit of gathering experience and contribution points. Fairy's Breath can be found while doing all different types of gathering gathering minus milking and water scooping, but I really don't know, so don't quote me on that please. Furry traces are a huge boost to the money made, enhancing materials needed, or alchemy fruit. These have a small chance of spawning while gathering with the exception of water scooping, shovel digging, and milking cows. These do cost 1 energy to open and 1 golden key. However, these do give 10 to 20 sharps or hards, up to 10 spirit dust, and finally up to 10 of each alchemy fruit. I'm not sure if this is affected by hedgehogs or the Agris fever, so don't get mad if it's not. The last thing to look out for are the starlight veins. These are another gatherable that has a chance of spawning while mining any rock in the game. These are perfect for those needing rough stone, black stone powder, and various rough gems. There is a small chance of getting some rare black magic crystals and an even rarer chance of a Manos processing stone when exchanging these, so keep mining and turning them in, you might get lucky. Now that you made it this far, let's talk about a couple tips and tricks that could help ease your gathering experience with all of the annoyances that comes with Black Desert in general. While gathering, there's a couple tricks that we can do. Starting off, we have the graphic settings. Choosing the lowest preset removes all the grass effects, lens flare, or shadows that are preventing you from seeing certain gatherable nodes, or just in general. Next are the display settings. In here has the crop mode that can be enabled to stretch out the screen to see more of the area around you if you can get past the letterbox. Heading into the camera effects, we have the option to remove the camera shakes. This will help out with getting dizzy, and a lot of you seem to hate this setting in general. Next, inside the general settings, choosing the mist section has the option to disable the UI from closing when attacked. The window UI is for the inventory and menus like that, while the full screen are for things like the world map and the pearl shop. Now we could talk about using the mouse to gather. Hitting the interface settings and going down to the mouse interface tab has the use mouse to move option. Checking this will let you click the gatherable node from afar and gather rather than having to be right up on it like in Pilgrim's Haven. Now, this should have you going out and gathering easier, and I know I didn't talk about the energy. A link to a guide for that will be down below. There's a lot when it comes to energy recovery and increasing your max energy, but with how long this guide was, it's amazing just to see how much can go into a single life skill and falling down a rabbit hole even if it's just gathering. I completely understand how confusing it could be for a new player or a returning player to jump in and try to figure out what to do with having all these different options. But please remember, the more time and effort that you put into this, the more you get back while gathering. Please don't attack me down in the comments mentioning how much all of this costs and how hard it is to get. This is something that you can work towards getting, and you shouldn't feel pressured to get any of this. This only serves to help you out if choosing to invest and take the time into trying to get all your gathering gear. If you wanted to learn how to start life skilling out there on the land of the morning light easier, or you just want to have an alt setup out there, you can check out the video here showing you all the different ways to life skill out there on the island, and I'll check you guys out in the next one. Keep gathering out there.